Hello, everyone. I am James W. Falcon, and I am thrilled to have you join us for another enlightening episode of From Scratch, the podcast. This is episode 4, and it's a special one, folks. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of hypnosis with a very special focus on past life regression. This powerful modality not only unlocks the potential of the subconscious mind, but also opens pathways for healing on some very deep levels. I can't wait to jump into this. Teresa?
Hello, hello. Hello, everybody, or like we say back home, inside. I am Teresa Angela, and welcome to episode 4. Today, we do a deep dive behind the curtain of hypnosis. I am especially excited to welcome a dear friend and colleague, fellow hypnotherapist Alicia Dupre, to our show. Together, we will be exploring the transformative impact of hypnosis. We're going to share insights from our own experiences as hypnotherapists as well as clients. And we will discuss how past life regressions help us to connect with our inner selves and release any blockages that can affect our health and well being. So, James, before we bring Alicia in, I know we're still kind of waiting for her. She's on the West Coast, so it's going to be a few seconds here. But before we bring her in, I wanted to share a little excerpt on hypnotherapy from Psychology Today. Hypnotherapy, sometimes called hypnotic suggestion, is a therapeutic practice that uses guided hypnosis to help a client to reach a trance-like state of focus, concentration, diminished peripheral awareness, and heightened suggestibility. This state is similar to being completely absorbed in a book, movie, music, or even one's own thoughts or meditations, or even like when you're driving your car. In it, a person is unusually responsive to an idea or an image, but they are not under anybody's control. Instead, a trained clinical hypnotherapist can help clients in this state to relax and to turn their attention inward to discover and to utilize resources within themselves that can help them to achieve desired behavioral changes or better manage pain or other physical concerns. Eventually, a client learns how to address their states of awareness on their own, and in doing so, gain greater control of their physical and psychological responses. The American Psychological Association and American Medical Association have recognized hypnotherapy as a valid procedure since 1958, and the National Institutes of Health, NIH, has recommended it as a treatment for chronic pain since 1995. When do we use hypnosis? Hypnotherapy is an adjunct form of therapy, meaning it is typically used alongside other forms of psychological or medical treatment, such as traditional modes of talk therapy. Hypnotherapy, however, can have many applications as a part of treatment for anxiety, stress, panic attacks, post-traumatic stress disorder, phobias, substance abuse, including tobacco, sexual dysfunction, undesirable compulsive behaviors, mood disorders, and bad habits. It can be used to help improve sleep or to address learning disorders, communication issues, as well as relationship challenges. Hypnotherapy can aid in pain management and help to resolve medical concerns such as digestive disorders, skin conditions, symptoms of autoimmune disorders, and the gastrointestinal side effects of pregnancy or chemotherapy. Research has found that surgical patients and burn victims can also achieve reduced recovery time, anxiety, and pain through hypnotherapy. It can also be used by dentists to help patients control their fears before procedures or to treat teeth grinding and other oral conditions. I know, folks, that was a whole mouthful, but I wanted to make sure that for those listening, I want you to understand that hypnosis, it sounds woo-woo and has been treated as a taboo topic, but it is very effective, it's helpful, and it is being recognized now by science that it is something that works. So I'll throw that over to you, James.
Wow, that was a mouthful, Teresa. I'm sorry. Before we get started, we haven't officially begun yet. We can't until, well, what do you know? The bell has rung. It's official, folks. And we have our special guest now standing in the wings. Are you ready, Miss Teresa?
I am.
Okay, let's bring her in. Hold on one second. Actually, before I do that, let me cue her up as I read this. Folks, I am incredibly thrilled to introduce our special guest, Alicia Dupre. Alicia is a certified hypnotherapist with a unique array of skills that set her apart in the world of healing and personal transformation. Not only does she specialize in hypnotherapy, but she is also a spiritual path life galactic healer, an energy healer, a remote viewer, an intuitive coach, and astrologer. With a blend of these remarkable modalities, Alicia helps individuals tap into their deeper selves, uncovering insights from past lives and harnessing the power of energy for healing and growth. Her passion for guiding others on their journey of self discovery and transformation shines through in her work. Join us as we dive into the fascinating world of hypnotherapy and explore the incredible potential within each of us to heal, grow, and to connect with the universe. Everybody, please join me in welcoming our special guest and Teresa's homegirl in the practice of hypnotherapy, Miss Alicia Dupre. Miss Alicia, how are you this evening?
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me, you guys.
Alicia, baby.
It's exciting to have you on. We have heard so much about you, or the listening audience has. We've brought everybody up to speed. It's so exciting to have you to join us for this segment. Folks, this is episode 4 of From Scratch. We thank you for joining us, Mr. Prey, for all of our listeners, all of our viewers, and everybody that's in the chat. We've got a whole host of folks in chat already queued up for you, Miss Alicia. I'm sure there are going to be tons of questions and tons of attentive ears to lend themselves to what you have to share with us. Before I go any further, Teresa.
So let's unpack this bio, Miss Alicia. Tell us about yourself. Who are you?
All right, so I am Alicia. I am a certified hypnotherapist, and I started doing this work officially in 2020. Um, my passion is more so this, what we're going to be talking about tonight is the past life regressions, but I also do spirit releasements, also known as exorcisms. And I also work with the extraterrestrials and their healing technologies, hence the galactic healer portion of that title. And I've also begun to study astrology. So I've got a lot of things under my belt.
So let's take it back to the beginning. Let's tell everyone, how did we meet? And we know that we met in a previous lifetime, but for this realm and where we live on this planet, how did we meet?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we met. I was in the probably the beginning stages of my awakening, or just so after, the veil kind of peeled back off of my eyelids. And I'm just starting to see things differently and understand things differently. And I had this extreme kind of calling or pulling to like try to learn more, but I didn't really know where to start. So I went to Facebook groups to try to find answers. And I found myself in a spiritual group that Teresa was also a part of. And so within that spiritual group, I was asking a lot of questions and trying to understand spirit, because um, I was having things happen, and I couldn't, I didn't have an understanding of it. I came from a church background. And so I was like, what in the world is going on? And so I found myself in the mix of this group, but through that group, me and Teresa really bonded over books,
Mhm.
discussing books and literature.
That's right. And then we realized that we were both enrolled in the same school. I think
Yes.
just a few months ahead of you with hypnosis. And so here we are. We've really remained really good and really close. You've been a huge pillar of strength for me in this whole crazy recovery. And you've always been there. You've been in the background, and I so appreciate you for being there, and being that one cheerleader in this community. Just cheering me on and helping me to remember, my assignment and where I was headed. So yeah,
Oh
that's
my
all
gosh.
I
And
got.
I can't thank you enough because she was like a mentor for me, coming into like a new world and as a baby, as a toddler, in essence, and like wobbling around and didn't know how to find my footing. And here's Teresa to like pick me up and be like, let me dust you off, girl. You're here. Let me show you what's going on, and reassure me that I wasn't going crazy, and the things that were happening to me are normal and very much a
Mhm.
gift, not a curse. And so with her mentorship, I would not be the Alicia that I am today. So I
Oh,
love this girl.
oh, I love you more. So that's our little story. So we're gonna throw this ball back and forth between James and I. We're gonna pull you into some questions, and we'll see if we need to field questions from the chat. So take it away, James.
So, ladies, I have to ask you. So, how long have you been in this line of work now, each of you?
Go ahead, I'll let you go first.
So around 2019 ish, I just wanted to. I knew that there was something deeper than tarot because I've been reading the tarot now for about 33 years. And I just felt like there was something else I needed to be doing. I sought initiation into an African traditional religion. And even in that, I still felt like I was not uncovering all the stones. And I believe I was scrolling through YouTube, and I witnessed someone performing a past life regression. And I stalked this one person and found out where they went to school for this modality. And so I really jumped into the practice in 2020, and I've been running with it ever since.
Yeah, same timeline as far as officially speaking, because obviously all of our stories start way before, and I'm not even talking past lives, but way before we even realize, and then things kind of come back full circle. But for me, officially, it was in 2020, and I was just, I think, 3 months after Teresa, because I think she posted, I'm going to be going to school, and then that's when I saw it, and I was like, oh my gosh, me too. When do you start? So for me, everything really officially started in 2020, and it all happened very fast within a matter of like 2 weeks of me even learning what hypnotherapists are and what they do. I was enrolled and I was like jumping in. So but before that, I was a hobby herbalist, and I always knew I was supposed to be a healer. And I was very much into like natural healing and naturopathic type ways. I just didn't. My idea of healing at that time was that I thought I had to be a doctor. So I did pursue the path of pre med, and then life went full circle, and I found myself here.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. So, I got to ask you both what's your favorite type of hypnosis?
I know what my favorite is. And I learned it towards the ending of the more clinical school that we both went to. I just felt like I did not want to spend any more time helping people to stop smoking and help people to lose weight. I knew it was late in the game, but I still always had this feeling like there was more, there had to be something else. And it was then that I discovered the Dolores Cannon technique, and I ran and enrolled with them. And Dolores Cannon, she's a pretty famous hypnotherapist. She is no longer with us in this realm, but her daughter continues, her mission, and her school is still there. It's still open. So I really fell in love with that quantum healing, and that is the more spiritual version of the past life regression, that includes the body scanning and the healing at the end. And we're going to talk more, into this episode about all the places that we go and that we're able to take our clients in doing this modality. What's your
So
favorite, Alicia?
Grace is being modest because we're both formally trained in clinical, medical, sports, and this being the spiritual hypnosis, right? This being the past life regression part of it. But with each of these different like submodalities within hypnosis and hypnotherapy, there's many, many, many different layers. But I will agree with her 1,000%. My favorite is the spiritual work. Um, we can stop fears and phobia. I mean, we can do everything through this one modality, in my opinion. There hasn't been anything that I haven't been able to do yet. Um, I'm actually thinking, yeah, there hasn't been anything that I haven't been able to solve with just this. So really coming into the school that we went to, this is what I came here to do, was past life regressions. And I ended up signing up for the most intensive school in our country. Took the class I hated the most was their past life regression class. It was so clinical, it was so dry. And this, the way that we are taught and we formulated, and we've also sub studied not just Dolores Cannon, but there's other different modalities that are meshed in. So there's different practices like life between lives. And there's a lot of different realms and kind of like layers to this. So we've jumped in, and we both of us were like studying like crazy animals, just getting as much as soaking it all up, just getting as much information as we could. So for me, this is truly what I came into even learning hypnosis for, and hypnotherapy. It's definitely my favorite, but I second to that would be medical, because understanding medical hypnosis is also very important. But really, I don't use it as much. It's mostly everything is done with the past life regression.
So real
So,
quick, as a recap for y'all ladies, I caught it, and I just want to make sure I'm understanding it so that the listening audience can. So you mentioned medical, spiritual. What other aspects are there?
Clinical and sports.
Clinical is that's pretty comprehensive. So for everybody's benefit, including mine, I think it's important for folks to know that you went to school and this is a very serious discipline, and you actually spent time in a classroom training. This wasn't some beside the road kind of situation
No.
you pulled up to. So tell us a little bit, if you ladies wouldn't mind, about the training. How long did you have to go, and what specifically is your designation or your certification, please?
so first, let
Um,
me say this, Alicia,
yeah,
before you jump in. Let me just tell you
go
my
ahead.
little beef. Let me tell you this little ongoing beef I have with the school. So we're done. We get out. So I went back into, and pardon, for my little rant here. So I go back into my portal because you still have access to certain things. I can pull out all my certificates and all my trainings, whatever. So I saw that past life regression, they're charging you for it again. And I'm like, why are you charging me if I'm a student of here? So I go and I pay. It was like 150. I forgot that instructor's name. So I pay for it. So I go back in today. I'm trying to remind myself, did I already print my certification from her? So I go in. Why did the class expire on August 25th? And they
You
want
can
me.
call them. They'll renew it. They'll
I'm
renew
like,
it.
y'all have gotten
Yeah.
closed this school. James, the school was not cheap. It was
No.
very, it was very expensive.
Like, you guys
About a
have to
year.
understand, this school for this particular practice is more extensive than what doctors receive for the same practice. I
Wow.
have an uncle who works in a 3-letter agency. He did not do as much training as we did for hypnosis or hypnotherapy.
Wow.
So
Like,
again, rant over
psychiatrists
for
do
me.
about a month worth of training. We went to a year-long extensive school, and it is a money pit. It is. But
It's
they'll work with you. They'll renew it,
They're
Lisa.
very thorough. They're very, very thorough. I mean, I enjoyed the experience, but rant over.
Um, they are the best. So they are the only accredited one in our country. There's a lot of like pop-up shops, as James was mentioning. That is not what we went to. However, Could things be better? Absolutely. And that's why we extended our education past just getting the accreditation that we did as certified hypnotherapist. So the only other level above certified hypnotherapist is clinical. And in order to have clinical, you have to have obtained your master's or a PhD in like psychiatry or psychology. So there's certain degrees that you have to have in order to be able to transfer that over. But in reality, I most clinical hypnotherapists, they understand a lot of the science, but they actually don't do a lot of the I don't want to say they don't do a lot of the work. I don't want to make anybody mad, but they don't do a lot of what we do. It's a different type of hypnosis.
Right.
Well, I'm already sold on it just in knowing and experiencing the excitement that Teresa has shared with me over the years in her pursuit. But I have to say this as a coach with a great deal of training, not that I feel like I'm any better or any different than anybody, but it's important for people to know, like for coaching, for example, I was absolutely horrified when I started off as a coach. I had been coaching in the work world for years. But when I decided to open my own practice in 2019, being on my own and all, I started calling some friends, people on my Facebook page that I knew were coaches. And I was absolutely horrified to learn that most of the coaches I knew had not gotten any formal training. Now, I'm not saying anything to their effectiveness or their ability to help people. I just thought that coaching was, silly me, something that people got training for. But when I found out that you could jump up at any point and say, hey, I'm a coach, and it's an unregulated industry and it's a very effective modality, but not many people chose to go the route to actually get some training. And I felt kind of odd because I felt like I had a little bit of training, but not enough for what I really wanted to do. And so I later pursued some things. So I think it's important for people to know. At the beginning of the show, Teresa read an excerpt from one of the major publications who were speaking about hypnotherapy and hypnosis as a bona fide certified modality. I think it's important for people to understand that this is not some fly by night thing where it's like a fad that it's coming and it's going to go by spring. No, this is here to stay. It is very effective. It has grassroots and it is gaining a great deal of traction. And it's just exciting for you guys to bring this, you ladies to bring this to our time and attention. Another question for you. So, can you guys tell us about one of the more challenging hypnotherapy sessions that you've had? Teresa, if we could begin with you, and then we're going to kick it over to you, Mr. Prey.
What are the more challenging ones? Um, the only time I face challenges when I'm in session is when a client's left brain is so disruptive, when it's loud, when it's being obnoxious, when it's difficult to put a person under who is going in already with preset ideas. They've told friends and family members that they're going to be hypnotized, and their head is filled with really bad information. And so I have to almost disarm this person before even putting them under. And I have a guarantee, and it's not a popular thing for a hypnotherapist to do, but I guarantee clients, if I can't get you put under, I'm going to keep trying until I can put you under. And if it means that we have to set for another session, then that's what we're going to do. I love a challenge. I love a skeptic, but I can't say that I've had a hard session because I usually get the person to go under. It does take some time to get that left brain to kind of get out of the driver's seat, though.
Interesting. Miss Alicia, your most challenging or your challenging time session experience, please. Alicia, you there? We may
Oh,
have a little bit.
sorry. Are you able to hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay. I haven't really had a challenging session per se. I've had some weird things happen, but challenging is more, resistance in a client. Um, Resistance can mean a lot. There's a lot of things that could be going on. It could either be that they're too low vibrational. meaning they're on drugs or medication, or maybe they're suffering from grief. Um, Grief in its own is a very low frequency. So sometimes you have to bring, the person up in order to be able to push forward and go past that. There can be things like medication. So there's other things that can inhibit that. But a lot of times we have to unhypnotize our clients before they can be hypnotized because of the programming that they already have, or maybe those conversations, like she said, with their friends and family before they have a session. And people tell them, you're crazy, it's not going to work. And, those things go into their subconscious mind. And what we all don't realize is how truly suggestible we are all of the time. And so all of these things that we hear and that we experience really do affect our day-to-day lives. So as far as challenging, resistance is still, it's still a response.
Mm-hmm.
So you just have to pay attention and figure out why. Why are we having this response? It could be a trust issue. It could be that maybe you're not the right practitioner for them. However, that's usually not the case. I've heard that happen before, but even then, I'm gonna get them hypnotized. We might just not get to the level or the place that I wanted to take them to at the end.
Right.
And that can all come out because you can ask the subconscious, you can ask their team, whoever is there, what's going on? Why are we having this issue? And you'll get the answers. You have to be willing to ask. So there's a lot of reasons why people may struggle, but every single person, if you've gone to sleep and you've woken up, you've been hypnotized. You've been in a state of hypnosis.
Mm-hmm.
That's really amazing. Here's another question for both of you ladies. So as I'm sure there are from time to time, as you've both spoken to, folks that you need to deprogram and help break through barriers. Let's talk about the flip side of the coin. Are there clients that are especially willing to be put under, and you can go back and maybe put them under additionally if they're willing, so that more information can be obtained, maybe for their benefit or for the benefit of others? Is that a possibility?
Funny you should ask that question. So I've been put in under by Alicia a few times, and I'm a very easy channel. And because of that, we've put in a keyword that we can use. She has put a keyword into my subconscious so we can bypass certain parts of the session so that we can jump right in we can extract information. We could do like a whole channeling, and that's what our plan is going forward. I just had to get past, my own grieving as well as physically recovering from trauma, so that this can happen again. But I've been pretty easy to put under.
Yes, keywords are a real thing. People can be hypnotized more than once. The purpose of her keyword really is just to take her to that maximum level depth. And it's used for the purpose of hypnosis and only for hypnosis. Um, Playing with the subconscious mind is not a toy. And that's something that I do. Hats off to you, James, for taking the steps to take the right education and to work, with the right level of integrity and ethics, because it's very, very, very important when you're working with people's minds. And so, yes, I have multiple, I call them repeat offenders lovingly. I've had people who've come to multiple group sessions. I have one girl, she's come like 7 times to the group sessions. And I'm like, girl, what life are we looking at today? What are you doing? And she's had 2 personal one-on-one sessions. So some people really want to explore, and some just want to get like straight to the root of the problem, because once you get there and you understand where it came from, why it's lingering, we're just the bridge. We're the facilitating bridge. We're the architect, putting the right frequency and all the right materials together to take you to that bridge so that God's love can do the healing. And then it's out
Okay,
of our
so
control.
so I got to ask this question. I'm sorry to cut the question, but while it's on my mind because I'm getting old now, I got to say it while it's right there. Here's the question for you both: what kind of a scenario would present that you would put me under as a client, get information from me that could be helpful to other people? Can you paint a good scenario for that? Whichever one of you would care to chime in on that, if both of you can. Like, when would it be appropriate to get information from the person that you put under that could be used for the benefit of somebody that may not even be a client?
Well, first and foremost, they need to give their permission.
Okay.
We're not just out here dropping people and taking universal knowledge, but first and foremost, with their permission. But if you wanted questions about your life or your life purpose, or it could be universal questions, it could be spiritual questions, it could be family questions, it could be health questions. But when you go to the deepest levels of hypnosis and you're in that deepest state of theta brainwaves, you have access, theta and gamma, you have access to unlimited universal knowledge. However, it won't be presented or available to you if you're not of pure intent and pure heart.
You will be blocked. So
Yes.
my example for this, and you may maybe I shared portions of this, and I have permission to share portions of this session. I put one family member under to extract and to connect with another family member who was in a vegetative state. So I'm using her as my surrogate. So she's my conduit. So I'm going to use her oversoul or her higher self to contact the person who is vegetative, to contact their subconscious, so that I can have a conversation with that person who is in the space of affliction, to get answers for that person's family members.
Wow, that's really deep. So you put one person under, got information from that person to give to that person's family member who was
And
in a.
of course, all with permission, and it was for, the highest good. We needed to know certain things. Is this soul going to wake up? And it was a laundry list of questions, but everything that was given in session has come to pass.
Interesting. So it's actually worked for their benefit. You know now, looking in the rearview mirror, that was the thing to do, and it was on the up and up, and it was helpful in every way that you imagined it would be. Is that what I'm hearing?
Oh, absolutely. Because when people get to a certain space where they have lost faith, they are exhausted, and they are in one of the darkest experiences of their life, that trauma, and they feel that they have run out of options. I jumped in and I offered my service, and we were able to extract information. So, I mean, it works, and it works, like I said, on multi levels. It's multifaceted. You can be very creative with this, or you can stay in a box.
Yeah.
You can be very clinical with it.
I've even used it to determine, obviously it's not legally standing, but there was a situation with a father and he wanted to know if his son was actually his child. And mind you, he already fathered this child. This child was an adult now. They were now 19, but he still had uh, questions and things that didn't make sense. So, and he got his answers.
Hmm.
Wow.
Spiritual DNA test.
Yeah,
All the
I got to share this
tea
with
is
everybody.
coming
That's
out.
powerful, Miss Alicia. Thank you for sharing that. But I got to share this. I was put under. There's a certification process where you guys have to get a certain number of hours in practicing, and I yielded myself to Teresa in the beginning to be put under. And I got to tell you, what I saw, I actually saw myself in a past life back in England, and I was like, it was so vivid that I remember I was walking in one scene down in the alleyway. It was raining. I could feel the rain on my face. I had on
Mhm.
wingtip shoes and I was walking on a cobblestone road, and I could feel the unevenness of the bricks and the stones under my feet. Like, it was so vivid. And I was able to
Hmm.
get some answers to some things, but the experience was absolutely mind blowing. And when I was brought back out, back to normal, I was so incredibly rested. Like, there was a rest that I had as if I had been asleep for a week and a half. Like, I was so at peace when I came back, and I got all my questions answered. So it was a real blessing. So I can really testify. I'm not a practitioner, but I have been a beneficiary most certainly, and I will continue to be. So, folks, if you're listening, get to your nearest hypnotherapist. It's an incredible modality, and it is incredibly healing oriented, is all I can say from a personal experience. One last question, ladies. is there any aspect of this that may have been a problem for your friends and family when you announced you were going to do it? Did you get any naysayers? Did you get anybody to say, "Oh, don't do that. That's not good," or "I don't think you should be playing around"? Like, did you get any pushback from friends and family members along the way when you announced you were going to go this route?
Not for me. My family, most of my children, they already know I'm on the deep end of the pool anyway. So this was just like, oh, that's fine. Oh, okay. Yeah, there's no pushback for me.
For me, it was well, even for myself, I give myself pushback because my idea of hypnosis at the time was strictly Hollywood. It would be equivalent to if I said, James, next year you're gonna work in circus and be a trapeze artist. You'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? So for me, it was part of my awakening. And I had an angry fit with God, and I was told I was a healer. And then I was shown that I would be healing thousands. And so that led me down the path of becoming a hypnotherapist. And up until the very first day of school, I was like, what the hell am I doing? Does this even make sense? Like, this is crazy talk. And so I grew up in church, but I never knew God until I started doing this work.
Wow.
And I prayed and it was
Hold on,
like,
hold on,
look,
hold on.
God,
I'm sorry. I got to ring the bell because that was powerful. You grew up in church, but you
yeah,
never knew God until you started doing this work. Let me ring the bell one more time. Did y'all hear that?
back. Facts.
That
My
is
mom was a
incredible.
missionary. I lived in the Bahamas for a little while. Like, we helped build a church. Like, we were in the church. I mean, 2 days a week. I- Yeah, I never knew God. I never knew God. And I prayed. I had an angry fit, and that's a whole nother story. But God showed me, brought me to this school. And the first day I was like, look, I feel like this is some clown shit. You spoke to me before, and mind you, I had never heard God before I had this angry fit with him. So I was just like, look, you spoke to me before, and you told me I'm a healer. You told me I'm supposed to do this, but I need confirmation, and preferably like within the first 3 days, because we had a month to cancel school without being charged, and it was like almost 20 grand. So I'm like, please, let's make it real loud and real clear like we did the first time, because I need confirmation. Like, this sounds like crazy shit to me. And my very first day of school, there was a full deja vu moment from a dream that I had like several years ago. And I was like, okay, we're on the right path. But even now, I think my family's still a little unsure, and it's been some years. So, we're going on almost 5 years. And my mom's just now really kind of started to talk to me about what I do.
Wow.
And
Amazing.
they used to kind of throw low key jokes and stuff. And I'm like, well, what I'm doing is not a joke. The miracles that I've seen, um, Teresa had a surrogate. My first surrogate was just as wild. The lady it was for her daughter, and her mother. I mean, I'm sorry, it was a daughter as a surrogate for her mom who had MS. This lady had not walked downstairs from her top story of her house in like 3 years. And it was like 3, 4 days later, she sends me a text and she said, "You'll never believe what just happened. My mom walked downstairs and she's hanging out in the living room."
Wow.
And I was like, what? And I didn't understand the importance of that. So then she was like, no, you don't understand. She hasn't been downstairs in 3 years. And then it was a couple days after that, she went to the grocery store for the first time in 7 years. She left her house.
Wow.
Like, the
Amazing.
healings that have come through, from lumps and bumps dissolving and disappearing,
Mhm.
to autoimmune disorders, to that big letter C that we're not allowed to mention, like, things dissipate. They get taken care of. God handles it. It's in God's hands. There's certain words we can't say because of the FDA. So
Right.
I'm not allowed to call it a healing, but God works in mysterious ways. So
Amazing. Amazing.
the work
Teresa, I
that
want
we
to.
do, now my family gets it. Now they're like, okay, so now we're starting to have these conversations. But now I'm even deeper. I'm in the deep end with Teresa now. So now they're like, okay, we're just catching up, and now you're talking to aliens and doing exorcisms. So,
That is
you know,
so amazing. So incredibly amazing. Teresa, this next question is for you first, if you don't mind. So, are there destinations that people can request that you enable them to go to? Like, if you put me under, where could I ask you to let me go to in addition to a past life experience, a specific past life experience? What are the other options? Is that something you can share or no?
I have not put in a GPS to go to a specific location. However, Alicia and I were both remote viewers, so we know how to do that on ourselves, well, with ourselves. But having a client request to go to a specific space, no. I leave mine open ended. Is very organic, and I always ask at the top of the session that we're going to go into and experience a past life that matters to the client now. Like whatever is still a residue on their life from back then into the now, we want to go to that life. It could be if they have phobias or fears, or maybe someone just wants to know why their orientation is what it is, or I've just not had where I put a request and hey, let's go to Egypt on Sunday. I've
No,
not.
I mean like this. Like if I said I had a family member that I was really grieving and I just wanted to see him or her one more time, could you through hypnotherapy take me into a realm where I could connect in that situation to a relative that's gone, passed over?
Oh yeah, that's
Is that a
what
possibility?
that is what we're about to talk about right now. Yes, absolutely. That is part of the field trip. Yes, it is.
Get out of here. So wait a minute. Hold on. I'm sorry. Wait, real quick. We're bringing this bell a lot today. So you mean to tell me through this practice that you both have been so blessed to do for people to help them, somebody could actually request that through hypnosis, you could connect them to see a member of a family or friend that's passed on. Is that what you're telling me? Am I hearing that
Absolutely.
correctly,
Oh
or
yeah.
am I getting old?
Alicia, tell him how we go.
Yes,
We
yes. So
I
I've even taken Teresa to see her family members. And if anyone knows Teresa personally, you know she's had quite a few deaths within a short period of time. And we've reconnected with her mom, her dad, her sister, a cousin.
mm-hmm.
Trying
Ladies,
to think. There were some others.
hold on. Ladies, listen. Like now we're talking a whole different folks. Are you hearing this? Like the people that to get you could help heal through grief processes is just like my mind is blown right now. I can't even contain myself. The number of people that could be aided by something like this who are really struggling with a loss. This could be phenomenal. Is that right? In
It,
terms of being
It
a
really
avenue
is.
that they could take. Is that am I understanding that correctly?
and I'm gonna tell you, this is my favorite part of the session. So Alicia will talk about her practice. In mine, I do a past life regression as one modality. And on the other side, I do what's called quantum healing. So it's going to include a past life regression, but we also take a trip to see your counsel, to meet your guides, as well as going to spirit world. And I leave my client in spirit world. I sit back and I let them stay in the visit, sometimes for 45 minutes to an hour. And when they are either physically getting too tired, it's time to bring them back out, or they have exhausted whatever they or whoever they went to see, they've gotten what they've needed, then I start to call them back out. But
Wow.
absolutely, that is, and you know, that's my favorite part of the session.
That's incredible. Incredible. So, ladies, can you do this through a virtual connection like a Zoom or something, or do you have to be physically in the person's presence?
I do all of my work on Zoom. In fact, I'm on the West Coast. Right now I'm in California right now, and most of my clientele is on the East Coast, if not overseas. Everything is
What?
done on the computer. Well,
Okay,
thank God
here
for
I go
COVID,
again. I'm
because
sorry. Here I
everyone
go again.
understands Zoom, or I use WebEx now because Zoom changed their policy. But yeah,
I'm sorry. I
everyone
just gotta
understands
ring
it.
this bell, y'all. Is everybody here? Are you guys hearing this? Those of you out there in the listening and viewing audience, you can have this amazing. And I'm not trying to sell this. I'm tripping is what I'm doing because I'm thinking about as a coach, as a person who is genuinely touched by the needs and the situations of the people around me, how incredibly powerful this can be for people struggling with grief and in so many, and you don't even have to be in the lab or in the office of the therapist. You can be helped on this level remote. Okay, one more time, and I promise I'll leave it alone. Okay, somebody in the chat says, Miss Virginia Smith says, grief is definitely a powerful halt to spirituality. Thank you, Miss Virginia, for joining, and thank you for that comment. Folks, if you have any things that you want to share, any questions, comments, please bang us on the chat. Get in the chat here. You can enter the chat through the YouTube channel, and you can be live, as so many people are right now in the chat, participating, commenting, asking questions. Join us, please, if you wouldn't
And
mind. I'm
we
sorry, ladies, I jumped in. I got too excited ringing this bell. Somebody was talking. Teresa, I think it was your turn. You had the mic. Or was it you, Miss Alicia? Whoever had the mic, please continue.
in our defense, when people question, well, how can you do this work over, Zoom? This is how we were taught. The
Plus,
school in California,
hypnosis is not something we're doing to you. It's
right?
something we're doing together. We're
Yeah.
leading you or
Okay,
guiding
now
you.
here I go again. I'm sorry. It's just so many nuggets being offered up tonight. Miss Alicia, say that again one more time. You said hypnosis one more time.
Hypnosis is not something we're doing to you. It's something we're doing with you. We are
Okay,
guiding you
it's
and
so
we're
powerful.
facilitating. It's not
So
magic. It's
powerful.
not abracadabra.
Gotcha.
It's science. And so it's something that we can walk you through and we can help facilitate in making sure that you're going through the proper steps to get to where you need to be.
Amazing.
Absolutely. But yeah,
Amazing.
my clients have been done in person. I've had clients that have come to me. Some I will meet them halfway, and then we have the others who are out of state who cannot travel. So they are done all virtual. And I mean, it's the same work, whether it is in person or, done virtually, but still just as effective.
Wow.
If not more effective, because you're comfortable, you're in your own space, you're
Hmm.
surrounded by your items and the things that whether it's like you want to have your picture of Uncle Bob close by and your favorite teddy bear and your blanket, like you're in your little nest, and you don't have to leave. You didn't have to get in your car and fight traffic and the stress, find parking, and then you're hungry and you're in some strange place with so it's a lot easier to take someone into their deepest levels of comfort within when they're already in their own space.
Absolutely. So, Alicia, I'm going to have you just run us through real quick, just the quick and dirty version of take us through a past life regression, talk about the steps, and then when we get to spirit world, I'll jump in with you.
Ooh, okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deep sleep. No, so I take them in. We start off at a place that they feel comfortable with, and I use that to kind of guide, engage how we're going. And then when it's time, we progress forward. We go to a past life. I don't uh designate, just as Teresa doesn't, this is where we're going. Now, if someone had a specific request and said, I need to see this particular life or this particular thing that I keep seeing in my dream, it is possible to do that. However, I allow the highest powers that be guide this session because they know what the client needs more than the client and more than myself. So I let it be spirit guide. We allow for the past life regression to happen if needed. If it's short or there's not a lot of information coming through, I might go up to 3 past lives. That's the most that I've done in one session. But after that, I'm going to allow them to pass. And the importance of that is huge. It's significant. It's taken away people's fear of death and allowed them to also understand that even when others pass away, they don't have to hurt so bad. Of course, you're going to miss that person, but you start to understand life and your connection to universe a lot better through going through that full death process. After the client leaves the body, we head over into spirit or spirit world or the other side or heaven, whatever you want to call it. Okay. We go to the other side. From there, we're meeting your guardian angels, your guides, and we're going to call forward. I always ask if there's someone that they want to see, if friend, family member, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, whoever, right? Dog, even. From there, they're going to get messages from the other side, from the people that they love. This is a very surreal experience. So it's not just like a psychic where they're giving you the information, although that's also very powerful and very healing. This is more of a one-on-one type of experience. You are hugging them, you are seeing them, you're experiencing them. From there, we're going to go to council, or um, I've even had the council just show up, have the council come to them. So from there, your council is a group of individuals who helped you along with God to plan your life before you came to Earth for this reincarnation. So they're going to come through and have messages, but if needed be, there
Hold
are.
on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Wait a minute. Do what now? You said, hold on. You
So
said you
there's
can take people. So real quick, you can,
yes,
Teresa. You said 10 minutes ago people can go to spirit world. Miss Alicia, you were just describing that, and then you said you can also take them to see their counsel,
yes,
and
which
that's
is
the
in the
group of people that planned their lives with God as to what they would do in this incarnate. Is that what you said?
yes. So in essence, they're your coach. They sat down with God and with you, and they made a blueprint. And there's certain things that you're going to experience in your life that are destined, but a lot of it, all of the fluff and buff in between, is you have free choice, you have free will. So there's
Real
certain
quick,
things that are going to be destined.
Miss Alicia, hold that thought for a second. I've been neglecting this, and I don't want to do it any longer. Hold that thought, please. Sorry to interrupt, but we have a question from the chat. If Miss Karen Carfan says, if someone did this virtually, how would they prepare for the session? Ms. Carfan, thank you for that question. Ms. Alicia, go ahead and finish your statement. I'm sorry to interrupt. And then if we can ask one of the two of you to come back and address Ms. Carfan's question, please, in the time we
Yes.
have. We're doing good on time. We have 10 more minutes, but I just wanted to do those things if we could. So Ms. Alicia, if you can finish, and then we'll kick this question to one of you for an answer. Thanks, ladies.
Perfect. So from there, we're going to speak with your counsel, and we're going to learn about maybe some of the markers that are destined to come up forward in your nearest future in life, and as well as maybe some of the markers that you didn't hit too well, or maybe they were slam dunk. But your counsel is going to also come forward with some messages. Usually, it's very much words of encouragement, right? Even when they're giving you a hard time, they're always presenting forward love. After that, we might visit your Akashic records. We might go to a healing temple.
Whoa,
There are
here we go
other
again.
places.
Hold on. I'm sorry. You might visit the what now?
There are libraries in spirit where your Akashic records are held. Your Akashic
Your
records
Akashic records.
are
Wow.
your life script per se. It's your book of life, and not just this life, all lives,
So all lives. So
everybody's
there's
life.
something
Yeah.
written about us in all the lives we've experienced in these records. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
So
And
you
also
got,
your connections to everything within universe. Anything and everything about you. And
so
not
going
you as
back to
this
what you said, Miss
personality, you as
Teresa.
your soul spirit self.
So
This
Miss Teresa,
personality
you
is just
said
one
something
chapter.
about a GPS in the beginning. So Miss Alicia, Miss Teresa. So let's take a look real quick at the destinations. Spirit world. In addition to past life, you can go to the Akashic records and you can go to see your counsel. Wow. Anywhere else, ladies?
There's healing temples,
Oh my
there's
goodness.
gardens.
Mm-hmm.
There's,
Healing.
I mean, really it's unlimited. There's different, I mean, we could, that's like a whole nother episode. There's different levels and realms to the other side. But what we have access to, I mean, it's wild. It's amazing.
So right.
Amazing.
So Alicia, if you remember, one of my sessions you put me under, I was aimlessly walking around and you were asking, what does it look like? What does it feel like? And I'm like, it's hot, but it's not burning me. It's red. And we found out I was walking on Mars. You remember that?
Yes, she went to a whole nother planet, you guys. Some people, like Teresa, have a history with other places, other galaxies, other planets.
Okay. 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 Okay.
We are not tied to just Earth.
Okay.
We are spiritual beings
I'm about
living
to
a
break this
human
bell here.
experience.
This little bell has had it for today.
The
We're
So you
gonna
bell.
need
mean
to
to
send you a
tell
new
me
bell.
you mean to tell me that people, so I have a two-part woe here, okay? The first part is the fact that we have had past lives. And then some of us have had those past lives. You're trying to tell me, ladies, on other planets?
Yes,
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, I'm all the way done now.
Just because you live on Earth doesn't mean that you're from Earth. And what do you listen? What do y'all say in church? I am not of this world. I'm in this world, but that is exactly right.
we are.
It,
This is
So
only one of your experiences as
so
a
y'all
human.
can't see me, but I am sucking my thumb, sitting in the corner, rocking back and forth in the fetal position right now.
uh,
Okay, keep going. And don't forget, y'all, we want to answer Ms. Carfon's question. So please take some time and wrap up your current sentence. And if I can ask somebody in the remaining 6 minutes we have to
well,
just
we're
touch on Ms.
we're
Carfon.
gonna go over. So we already know we're going over. We have still so much to cover.
Okay.
Um, So to answer your question, her name is Carez James. It's not Karen. She's
Oh,
not a
I'm
Karen.
sorry.
It's Carez.
I'm sorry, Miss Carez.
Yes. So to prepare for this session, whether it's going to be virtual or it's going to be in person, you're going to have to sit in a consultation with your um, hypnotherapist. And there are things that we will recommend that you do not do or eat before session to prepare your body, your physical body. And then we will talk about a list of questions that you're going to give to us that you want the answers to. So it's not just a hey, let's jump on Zoom and let's do this. There is a preparation to get into the session.
Wow. Absolutely.
There,
And by the way, I knew it was Carez. I just was testing to see if
no,
Teresa
you
was paying
didn't.
attention. I'm sorry. Go ahead, ladies.
I don't know, Alicia, if you do you recommend I'm not really one that recommends that they do hemi sync meditations.
No,
I
I
just
don't
don't
need
think
to.
it's necessary.
No.
But I will ask that they not, you know, do drugs before session.
Yeah.
Don't
No
add
drug.
anything into the mix that would take away from the experience or maybe even prevent you from being able to successfully and clearly go under.
In my experience, the therapists who are telling their clients or prospective clients that they need to listen to HemiSync and do things of that sort in order to prepare for a session are therapists who rush the sessions, don't take their time, and are not working in the best efforts for the client. Some of my sessions, I have had one that lasted 8 hours. Eight
Yeah.
hours, not because it took her that long to get under, but because that's what the client needed. And so
Right.
that's what they received. I'm this clinical versions of past life regressions. You'll see people talking about 1 hour, 1.5 hours. That's if you're gonna just go looky loo and wake up and not know what happened, why you saw it, what did it mean. It's like going into a dream state. Okay, you could do that at night. Go to bed. Um, this is very much not that. These are deep. These are healing. I like to kind of compare it to a lot of people are now more knowledgeable about ayahuasca and plant medicine, and it's kind of like a very deep spiritual demonic ceremony versus um something you just do. It's not, so the people that are just pumping out sessions and they're telling you need to draw and color and hemisync, that's because they're not taking their time.
Yeah, I think all of that stuff is unnecessary. And, that's for the dog and pony shows. And that's for people who they have a whole laundry list. They have a whole line of people they're trying to get done in one day. And I think that's completely unfair to the client, first of all. When I do a session and I try to only do one a day because I'm wiped out at the next day,
Yeah.
it takes a lot out of
Yeah. That, or I'm high off the experience and my cup is overflowing and then I can't go to sleep my damn self. So now I'm up till midnight, 1, 2 in the morning because that energy is powerful. That frequency that comes through is powerful. And sometimes it recharges you. And then, so you can't. If I did 3, 4, 5 in a day, oh my
I would
God, I would be a crackhead.
I would be no good. And then again, talking about the energy that comes through, we never know what is going to come through because just because I put a person under and that person wants to see a past life, we still are not clear until we are knee deep in the shit of the session. What's
Yeah.
going to, because people have attachments. I talked about this on our previous episode, and those attachments want the microphone. They want to talk, and I want them to talk because I need to know what is the source of them. Where did you come from? How long have you been here? What do you want with the client?
Yeah.
Sometimes
They're tricky. They're tricky energy.
the pain that you're carrying, and that pain actually has a voice, and that is an attachment. So it can be, and I don't want people to hear this and think, oh my God, she's trying to tell me I have a demon. Everything that is going to speak in session is not going to be a demonic entity either.
No. And we can't demonize. All attachments are not demons.
Right.
Some people have attachments through drugs or alcohol. In fact, true story, the first gentleman who ever received a PhD in the UK, Dr. Palmer, he specialized in exorcisms. That was his practice. And he learned through his multi-thousand, I don't know, 100,000 sessions that he's done, that different drugs, the reason why our face looks a different way is because there are different energies attached to those drugs. So that's why when you see a crackhead in the street, you knew they did crack versus the meth head versus whatever, that they have certain characteristics. Now, that's why alcohol is called spirits. Because you might have a happy spirit, you might have a belligerent spirit, you might have an angry spirit, you might have a spirit that just wants to dance. So there's different, that's why it's called spirits. So not everything that comes through needs to be demonized. Not everything is a demon. And don't get it twisted, people. Demons are real, but God made everything, the light and the dark. Okay, the air and the water, the tall and the short, the up and below, he made all of it. So even the demons, even though it's very tiny and minute and might be as big as a cell or an atom, they still have a speck of light in them because they were still created by God. Therefore, they can return back to the light to serve God in a different fashion. And that's a whole nother story. That's where I get into my exorcism.
Incredible. I love it. Hey, real quick, ladies, a couple of shout outs and mentions from the chat. So for you, Miss Alicia, there is love from Farah and from Guzman. They shout you out. We have a question, I guess, for you, Miss Teresa, from a Miss Virginia Smith. She has a twofold question. The question is, would a nice meditation and relaxation help with preparing for a session? That's the first part. And then the second part is, after doing a session, are there any recommendations that you would offer after the session is over? Like once it's over, anything would you recommend a person to do once that they've gotten everything?
Okay, let's go back to the first question. Whatever you feel led to do before having your session, whether it is recommended by the practitioner or you just feel like you need to do something, in your case, you're saying for a certain meditation, that's your higher self already knowing what you in your body needs. So your higher self knows what you need. I would never suggest anything that's going against what you are bringing to me. If you say, hey, I really like white noise, well, go ahead and you listen to your white noise. Hey, I like rock and roll. Okay, but at least 2 hours before your session, do not listen to that because that will be a little disruptive. But if you feel like you need to do certain things, go ahead and do those things. My is after a session is done, if you've been successfully put under and you've come out, you've gotten your questions answered, you have requested certain healings, it should be a one and done unless you're going into curiosity mode and you just feel like, hey, I'd like to have another session. I personally would not do another session back to back because you need to allow, just like when I do tarot, you need to allow that reading to kind of unfold. You need to settle in that energy for a little bit of time. But if you've gotten what you feel like you came for, then it should be a one and done. You shouldn't have to do any maintenance. There should be nothing else that needs to happen once it's over.
You really, if you want to explore, I always tell people like you need to wait a month. Because you do have to it's like shaking up a snow globe. And so you have to let all those pieces fall back down, fall back into place, get settled before you shake it up again.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. Here's one more question, y'all, in our hour. That we've gone to the hour mark, but we said we were always going to hang out a little bit longer. So Monica Griot says, my left brain would be so stubborn with all the things that I've dealt with that she feels like that would be her hesitation. What would you say to Miss Griot or anybody that would be concerned that their mind was so cluttered that they would fear being able to really get the help that they need? What would be your way to address that? What would you say to somebody like that in advance of the session? And then what would you do to help them during the session?
So
generally, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, generally, I always tell people what you believe is your truth. However, if you go to sleep at night, you're going into a state of hypnosis. So you're capable. You're absolutely capable. And you're capable of having that experience. And sometimes people also say, well, what if you can't visualize? What if you can't see? If some people don't see in their dreams. But when you go into a state of hypnosis, it unlocks a different part of your subconscious mind and a different part of your brain. there have been situations where people who are blind, who couldn't see at all, were still able to go under hypnosis and actually see a past life, even though they had no physical life recognition of a car and, a table, but they were still able to see it all and recall and know what they were seeing.
Wow.
If you go to sleep, your brain goes through the different brainwave patterns. So you've got beta, alpha, theta, and delta. Delta is when you're knocked out, you're snoring. Right before that is theta. So as long as you can sleep at night, you're going into hypnosis. What we're doing is we're keeping you in that very gray line right before you feel yourself drifting into a dream, or you feel yourself completely passing out. We're keeping you right there. That's the magic spot. So you are capable, and your ego is attached to that left brain. Your ego's loud because that's what you led with in your question. That's okay. We know how to calm the ego down and talk it down a little bit and make it comfortable. You are capable.
So I'll tell you this, when I first started doing this, I was a little timid because I felt that I was not officially prepared for what I was going. I mean, everything was by the book. I read my script, everything went off without a hitch, but I was not prepared for the left of the person. This is the ego. This is a skeptic to push back so hard, and I would kind of let it bully me, and it speaks. That left brain is going to speak, and I said it was starting to kind of ruin the person's experience. So I started to bully it back. So I have had to hit them with some my own gangster coaching in session. And I give the visual to the client when we are in a struggle moment like this. I put them in a white room and I describe there is a table with 1,000-piece puzzle, and I'm going to command that left brain to go sit its ass at that table and work on that puzzle while I come back over here with the right brain to unpack what I need to and it works.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. I like
So the
that.
left brain will take direction, but you have to be firm.
Yeah, and I think it's important too. Like, I also suggest to people, you can analyze this to death while you're in the midst of it, but then you're not enjoying it. You're not allowing yourself to have that full experience. It's like watching a movie and you're over analyzing and picking apart every single thing instead of just shutting up and watching the damn movie. And then you can pick it apart afterwards.
Right.
And the best part is we record our sessions. So you can see it. You can hear it after. You can totally overanalyze it to death later. But for now, enjoy yourself.
Plus, the beauty and what I think is just the most beautiful thing about doing the sessions is this: people will sit and swear up and down, I can't see. But sometimes you will not see in session, but you will have an innate knowing and you will feel so much so that the information becomes telepathic and you begin to see not with your physical eyes, but this is where the pineal wakes up. And the third eye is now activated because you're doing this with your eyes closed. I've not
Mhm.
where the person has their eyes open. But your eyes are closed. But once you give them the permission to at least try to feel, that's
I'm,
where
I'm sorry. Delayed reaction. My apologies. I'm about 10 seconds behind.
the
Miss
bell is
Alicia,
dead. I'm
you
through.
said that they may not see. Miss Alicia, you mentioned this. You had a client that was blind that could see. Teresa, you said that a client may not even be able to see, but they will get the information through their
Yeah.
pineal gland, or it almost becomes telepathic. Is that what you just told me right now?
Yeah, so their
Yeah.
experience is not going to be through the physical eyes. Yeah, the eyes are closed. The experience will come from the pineal, which is your third eye. So that becomes the activated sense that will be used in hypnosis.
All right, I'm going back over to the corner now and rock myself to sleep in the fetal position. This is powerful, ladies. Absolutely powerful. Folks, I'm hoping you're getting as much out of this as I am. This is what we call an overstanding. They're giving us so much of themselves and just really pouring out from the heart. I mean, I'm cracking a few jokes here, but this is a very serious modality in a very serious way that help can be obtained for any of us out here who may be struggling with addictions or grief or whatever the case may be. This is so powerful, and I'm incredibly in awe of both of you for choosing to help humanity in this particular way. Thank you so much for sharing from the heart. I'm not signing off. I just wanted to say that much at least.
So, Alicia, tell us about what is what has been your favorite session, or what energy has come through that has been um, like a very memorable session. Did you have an entity come in? Did you have a conversation that has absolutely just blown your mind? What was that session like?
Oh my gosh. So I feel like it's really unfair to put one above any of them. Um, but I'll give like a quick rundown. So for a long time, Teresa's sessions actually, right? Well, they're still I can't say favorite because I feel like that's wrong. It's like telling one of your kids they're your favorite, you know? But Teresa's sessions are so near and dear to my heart and soul. Um, for real, I actually don't rewatch a lot of my client sessions. I have rewatched both of the sessions that I've done with her probably 10 times a piece. So, in each time I watch them, it's like more information comes. It's almost like a download. There's more information that comes to light where I'm like, I know I've heard this sometimes before, but today I'm just it's hitting me different. It means something different right now. And it's really, I think, just a testament to how spirit works and the universe works. But your sessions are absolutely amazing. But I've talked to Source Energy, aka God. Okay, but God is not attached to a religion. I don't want to piss everybody off, but he's not Christian, he's not Catholic, he's not Jewish, he's not Muslim, he's God. Okay. But God, so for the sake of that, we'll just say Source Energy. Um, Archangel Michael is I work with him a lot, especially with spirit releasement. Metatron was one of my favorite sessions. He's an archangel. Um, the energy of Jesus has come through. That was amazing. ETs, a time traveler, um, different types of ETs because there's different species. So, um, like the Anunnaki, we hear about them on, some of these like sci-fi channels and, UFO hunters or whatever the hell is on TV these days. But for me to like actually speak to some of them and go, wait, what? This is real? Like it, I know it's real, but it's just different when you actually get information or they speak to you and come through. Um, there's been a couple of exorcisms that have been wild. And I've had some dark energies that were like, cool, send me to the light, please. I am done with this shit. Let's go. I'm ready for a change. And I've had some that have had to like fight. And it's gotten brutal. um, but there's so many. There's so many. I don't really have a favorite because as soon as I think I have a favorite, like something new happens and I'm in awe.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much like like when I don't know, like if you were single and you were like dating all these people and you're like, well, I really like Mike and I really like Chris and I really like whoever. You might like them all for different reasons. It's very much like that. I can't really pinpoint one. Now, if there was one that I'd want to talk to, I think would probably be like Michael Jackson or something, if I could call in somebody special. But also because I know he has a special connection to someone that I know that worked with him in a past life. So I feel like that would be a fun connection to make. But no, I work a lot with the higher realms. I've had a couple celebrities come through. I don't know. It's always exciting. What about you, Teresa?
I love all the sessions. I do, but there was one I traveled to this lady, and she was going through a really hard time in her life, and I was afraid that maybe we wouldn't be able to get too far into session because of her sadness. And we were able to get past that left brain and some of her barriers. But when I was about to call her higher self forward, her body started to vibrate. And she was on the couch. She was about 2, 3 feet away from me. and she was like almost levitating off of her couch. So I started to step back because it was almost like a force field around her, but it didn't feel bad. It wasn't scary, but I was a little shaken because I wasn't sure who or what that was. And it did ask me to step back. And so I did. So I ended up moving maybe 12 feet away, and I continued the session. And it ended up being an archangel. It was Raphael, who is, we know him to be the archangel of healing. And
Mm.
it was an amazing session. And he stayed with us for about 30 minutes. All the questions were answered through her body. So I want listeners to understand that when we say we're talking to, XYZ comes through, it's going to talk through the vocal cord, the mouth of the client. The voice will be different. It is not the client's voice. And at any rate, the first thing I'm asking is, who am I talking to? I need to identify, I need to have the name. And you'll know, if it's something that's playing with you or if it's authentic. And so he identified himself as being such. And when I was able to bring her out of session, she couldn't remember. We sat together and we replayed her session on video. And she explained that she had prayed the night before that she would be healed of certain things, depression and sadness being one of them, and she really wanted to hear from Archangel Raphael. And so that happened. And that, I mean, I love, like you said, I love all my sessions. Every single one is different. There's always a gift in each one to unpack, but that one really sticks out for me.
Yeah, yeah. I had a situation with a client who was getting fear released from her body. And you guys have to understand that emotions can be stored in your body and become physical components. They can turn into dis-ease,
Mm-hmm.
or it can just accumulate like inflammation. It can show up in a lot of different ways. And this particular client was getting fear removed from her body. And I don't want to say convulsions because that sounds like real terrifying, but she was having shakes, like jolts. And I asked her, "Are you okay?" And she said, "Yeah." She goes, "It just she goes, it doesn't hurt. It was shocking to her. Like it was she wasn't prepared. But she kept getting these like jolts on her body, and her body just kept shaking and convulsing. And I was like, okay, I know who we're working with. I know who's on her team. I know what we're doing. I know what we're accomplishing, the intent, and I had full trust in the energies that are being involved in her particular situation. But I did get a little scared watching her shake like that because I was like, what is going on? I mean, it was intense. It was very intense. And I've had something similar, but it was not that intense. And so for me to see it and witness it as a therapist, sometimes there's still things that when you think you've kind of seen it all or heard it all, like something's going to happen. And you're like, nope, definitely not. This is new. Um, and so it's always very entertaining and very educational, but also thrilling in its own right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ladies, Miss Perez says something very powerful here. So sad that this doesn't get enough mainstream recognition. This could help
Mm,
a lot of people suffering with mental health. I agree, Miss Perez. It's so sad
absolutely.
that this is not much more widely known. But I have a feeling that's going to change. I used to think the same way about coaching. And lo and behold, the pandemic hit, and more people have been made aware of modalities like coaching and others like hypnotherapy that wouldn't have otherwise. But somehow or another, events happen and unfold in this thing called humanity, and it gives us an education and puts us in the pathway to get the help we need. So I agree with you, but I feel like with programs like this and other things, we're going to bring hypnotherapy to the mainstream as best as we possibly can do it. And I'm sure other people are thinking the same way. But thank you, Ms. Perez, for that comment. Very powerful.
And keep in mind, coaching is an ancient modality, just as hypnosis is. Very ancient. And in fact, it's so powerful and so important to have coaches and mentors in the right places and in the right times in your life So much so that they hid these things within certain boxes that maybe only the elite were using these things before. But what happened with that turn of events with COVID and people are home, they started waking up and finding themselves and finding these connections to these things that everyone should have access to, because they work and they are healing and they're profound. And these are ancient modalities. This is not woo woo, brand new, magic. This is something that has been around since ancient Kemet, you know, with the pyramids. This is ancient before, and they've tried to stick it in a box with science and make it just that, or make it something that only the elite have access to. But that's not its true intention, and that's not its true purpose.
All true. All of it is true. I just thought of another very memorable session. I had a client put this person under, and the past life, this client saw that they were an enslaved young woman. And in the session, her dialect changed. She had a whole different accent.
I love when that happens.
It was, I was crying watching
hmm
and just interacting because time does not exist. So everything is happening in the now. So for me to be here in 2024 and I'm speaking to a soul that was currently in that space was amazing.
You know what age? Like, was it in the 1800s? Was it, or was it even older than that?
It was, I wish I remember the year, but she was describing, she was in, I believe, South Carolina. Um, she was with a mother. The father had already been killed. Um, it was such a deep but so sad, such a sad session. But very, very, very intriguing. I had another
And
session that got interrupted. Um, Someone who had recently passed away burst into the session, and so my my client is laying on this massage table, out completely under, and she's going through her this past life. And she said, "Oh, there's someone here, and I don't know who this is." And then starts describing, and it was a soul that had popped in that wanted to get a message to her family. And I had to
wow.
kind of moving her along a little bit so that it didn't scare my client, because the client was like, this is a lot. What, I don't know what's happening. Um,
So
so
that was interesting. So Teresa, you sensed the presence of that person, and then the client could see and feel the presence of the person deep in the session.
yeah, she was in her
Interesting.
life, and this woman just kind of strolled in. Yeah.
I've had that happen with a session. In fact, the lady was a princess, and she was like, "Oh, we're going to a castle. Oh, I'm getting married." Like, she's starting to have these. She just got in and got into her life, but she's just starting to kind of understand like what's going on. We get to the castle, and she's starting to tell me about her preparations for her wedding that's about to take place. And then all of a sudden, her mom starts talking, which is one of the Queen Elizabeths. Um, Mom's talking, I'm asking her questions, and I'm like, okay, because usually it doesn't go from the client's character and jumping into someone else. But then it also switched not just from the mom to all of a sudden a nanny
Mhm.
that took care of the princess popped in and had things to say. So it was what, and all three of them had very different accents. It was, and that was one that I was able to fact check. That one was actually pretty amazing. Um, but I can't share too much about that one yet because the client's not ready. But that I can tell you.
Amazing.
Interesting.
So amazing.
Very, very interesting.
So do we have any questions in the chat, James? Or any
None unanswered. We've addressed them all. believe it or not. And somebody said, Miss Virginia says, I love asking questions, not just for myself, but for others that may see this. So thank you, Miss Virginia, for that comment and for others. Let me just look to make sure. No unanswered questions in the chat. Folks listening, if you have anything else that you want to have mentioned, shouts out, or any questions, please do so now, if you wouldn't mind, please. Thank you, everybody, for the richness of your participation in the chat. You have broadened and sweetened the pot for this particular podcast, and we thank you so much. Anybody else? Questions, comments, songs, dances, baby pictures, anything in the chat?
Alicia, tell our listeners how they can find you on all social media platforms. How can they get in touch with you if they're interested?
Primarily, I'm using TikTok at the moment, which has all of my other social medias attached. I am on Instagram as you are hypnosis. On TikTok, you can find me under Alicia, your hypnotherapist. And I'm not too much using Facebook right now because it's more just my personal one. But my YouTube will be up and fired up hopefully by the end of this month with lots of videos and shorts. So you can see some stuff in action. So definitely check it out.
All right. So, as we wrap up this enlightening episode of the From Scratch podcast, we want to thank you for joining us on this journey through the fascinating world of the quantum of all healing techniques and hypnosis. We've uncovered the profound possibilities that these practices hold for personal transformation and healing, exploring how the mind, body, and spirit can work in harmony to create positive change. Whether you're a seasoned practitioner or just curious about these innovative approaches, we hope that you found inspiration and insights that resonate with you. Remember, healing is not just a destination, it is a journey, and we're grateful to share this path with you. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to subscribe and like and share, maybe leave a comment or two. Your support helps us to continue to bring you more thought-provoking discussions. And as always, keep the conversation going with us on social media. We love hearing your thoughts and experiences. Until next time, stay curious, stay open, and keep exploring the wonders of healing. Special thank you to Alicia Dupre for taking the time out of your busy schedule to chat with us. We must do this again, and I will see you in the quantum very soon as we have plans to go live in session on TikTok together. Thank you to my co-host, James W. Falcon, for keeping the train on track and for always reminding me that one monkey don't stop no show. I appreciate it always. To our followers and listeners, thank you for being a part of the From Scratch community. Take care. We'll see you in the next episode. The From Scratch podcast airs every Thursday, 8 p.m. for an hour or more. Have a great night.
Good night. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. I'll talk to you tomorrow, Alicia.
Thank you. Much love, everyone. Thanks for chiming in. Good night.
Bye-bye.